Assalamu alaikum. My name is Lewis, and I was originally brought up most of my life in the north of England in a town called Darlington. But I was originally born in Camberley, where I originally reside and live. My childhood was, well, you could say, was a normal childhood, but I was brought up with a condition known as Asperger's syndrome, so I had a few learning difficulties, like as I grew up, which I struggled like to make friends, but I had a few friends like which I was close to though. But and my main interests were like football, cricket, and video games, etc. And as I grew up, as I moved from school to school, because I moved from through schools, I came to a school which is more multicultural, with, you could say, there was some English, Indian, Pakistani people. We grew up from different lifestyles, religions, and this was new to me. This brought new questions into my life, who are these people? What do they stand for, etc. And at first, I tended to avoid these people because I wasn't sure about who they are. I was quite shy within myself. But then there came times when I actually started to speak to these people. So that's my first introduction to maybe multi-religious, multicultural people. May have religions of Islam, Hinduism, Sikh backgrounds, etc. And I thought there were many friendly people. You'll find some ignorant people, but that's everywhere that you'll find today in this society. So when I left school, went to college, I found I was more close to Muslims, friends, because I tend to thought they were very friendly people, and I was curious about their background, about their life, etc. And as I came to college, at that time, I thought to myself, because I hear all these stereotypes about Islam, that's a violent religion, it spreads hate, it spreads terrorism, etc. So I thought to myself, what is the source of this religion? And then I spoke to my friends. They told me to read the Quran, the main source, the main text of Islam. And I thought that the text itself was very inspiring. And I thought to myself that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was guiding me, as I was asking questions about the higher power, the one that the Most High, the Most Gracious. Asperger's syndrome is a form of autism, which is because you have to medically it's part of the as autistic spectrum, which there's many different conditions which are on there. You'll have low functioning autism, which is generally people that need more support, have more special needs, etc. And then you've got high functioning autism, which generally you are more independent in your but you may face some minor issues. For example, social issues is one example. I mentioned before, I struggled making friends. So this was the main thing I struggled with, communicating with people. I did not know. I had to develop skills in communicating with people much later than the average human being that would have to do. But there are many plus sides to the condition. For example, you have many geniuses, maybe in maths, for example, that have known to have Asperger's syndrome. For example, Einstein is one, Bill Gates is another. There's many examples that you could give that have many talents within the world today, which I am proud of. Um, I I have one sister, and I live with my mother also. These are the two people that I live with. These are the two people that I'm most close to in my life, and and these are basically my mother is an inspiration in my life. She's the one that has brought me up alone. She's like taught me many things, like for example, never to be ignorant towards people, never to treat people in a wrong way. Like for example, every time that I did this, like when I was younger, when I was learning, she always gave me an example in her life, what she went through, what she has learned, and how I should grow up to be. And I believe that this is one reason why I studied Islam thoroughly, because you must never be ignorant towards something that you do not know, that you're uneducated by. I remember, well, I don't think most of my family were very religious at all. They're mainly atheist, but we, of course, it becomes like a tradition, like within British culture, to celebrate Easter, Christmas, and these things. But I do remember that my great-grandmother, when she was alive, I was told that she was a strict Catholic Christian, and she was the main person that brought up my mother, because my mother's mother, like her mum, she always used to work, like most of the time, to bring money to the family. So of course, my mother needed somebody to look after her. So that's the one person that brought her up in her life, and I believe that's how that's why she has such a character that she has today. Well, I thought that school at a younger age was scary for me. I was nervous, like I said, I struggled making friends, and I didn't feel like I was within the social norm of that community itself most of the time, until later in my life, as I developed more of social background, social skills, etc. Like, I felt that I may have struggled in some areas, such as English, for example, for a lot of my life, but later on in my life, as I got towards secondary school, I felt like I started to catch up with everyone, like on the skills that I needed, like English, maths, science, etc. And as I moved out of secondary school, I got some good grades. I got into college, which I studied IT. This is like one of my biggest passions of mine, like programming, fixing computers, like solving problems to do with computers, mathematics, etc. That's a really big passion of mine, and this actually encouraged me to work more with people, socialise with more people, because the IT sector itself is not how it's not how people may think of it. Like they may envision that there's one person alone at a computer programming, for example, but in fact, to a software development firm takes one big team, and communication is central to that to that team, because without communication you do not have the foundations of how to solve problems, of what skills you need on projects, what you need to do, etc. Well, yeah, of course, I was bullied as a child a lot of the time, and at first it was very difficult to deal with, like, because people didn't accept me at first, and emotionally it affected me a lot, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to approach such situations. I asked many questions to myself, and like, why are people doing this? Why do people think of me in a certain way, etc. And this affected my confidence a lot. But later on, as I spoke to people, they taught me how to deal with things, etc. Like, for example, how to be more mature in situations, don't act in a certain way, and try and have conversations with these people, act in a certain way, try and introduce yourself to them, that you are a human being. You deserve to be treated with respect, and you deserve to be accepted as within the community, because we're all different. We have different skills, different mindsets, etc. And we come from different cultures and different backgrounds. So then why shouldn't I be accepted as that as well? Well, before I wouldn't say I was very educated in religion, but what I heard about the religion was negative things. Like, for example, ever since 9/11 or those big 7/7, those big terrorist attacks which were caused by so-called Muslims, I was questioning myself, who were these people? Why were they doing what they were doing, etc. Why did they do such inhumane acts? And I was questioning myself, because I actually there were many Muslims in my community wherever I was brought up, and I was questioning myself, who are these people that I'm living with? What do they believe in, this ideology, etc. And things, I was questioning myself, because I was friends with some of these people. So I was asking them questions, etc. I was about Islam, about what they've got from the religion. Does Islam teach this? Does Islam teach violence? Does Islam teach terrorism? Does Islam teach hate towards particular people, etc.? And I wanted to know what their views were. And it was, you could say, it was opposite to what the media and the newspapers were making out to be. So this got me thinking to read the source of the religion, the Quran, which I felt was a blessing from God, and I felt that it told me the truth about the religion. I felt like I was liberated and guided by the religion itself. Well, you get Muslims which aren't good practicing Muslims, that were trying to blend in with today's society, for example. And of course, you've got some good Muslims. So I generally thought that I got mixed answers. Like, some may give me detailed answers. This is what the Quran teaches. This is what Islam teaches. Some may try and ignore or change the subject because they may feel awkward, as they do not really pay attention to their religion as much. But I felt like the good Muslims, I have Shia, Sunni friends from different Islamic backgrounds. I felt that there were some good Muslims from both sides, and they've taught me about their religion very much, about how in the Quran it says if you kill one person, it's like killing the whole of humanity. That in the Quran, in several places, it says that you must not commit suicide, etc. This is how I was first introduced to the religion of Islam, which posed many more questions in my mind. What ideology are these people that were committing such acts following? What is their source for their religion? If it teaches the opposite in the Quran, for example. Well, there's a Sunni convert that I knew called John. He introduced me to a website. I can't remember what it's called, but you can order, if you're a non-Muslim, you can order one free Quran and from the internet, and you get it delivered to your house. So I ordered this Quran. Days later, I got it